and welcome to E&I UK and Europe Edition. I'm Giancarlo Matera, reporting from London. Today we'll be bringing you news reports from the United Kingdom and Europe, and we also have live reporters on standby, ready with their reports. Firstly, today we have the UK and European News Roundup, where we cover the EU pushing back against Britain's Brexit deal. COVID-19 vaccine trial paused after unexplained illness, and Greece to shelter thousands after Lesbos migrant camp fire, and a new Swiss tunnel that connects northern and southern Europe through the Alps. We also have a live report brought to us by Love and Season on how Harry and Meghan have signed a sprawling Netflix deal. Joining us also today, Ashley Espiritu, on how the British Museum acquires a lost drawing of Japan's Hokusai. From EBC France, Charlie Hebdo attack trial opens in Paris. In our sports update from EBC Germany, Lewandowski is Germany's Football Player of the Year, a live report by Vanessa Goward. And then we also report on the US Open, where Novak Djokovic says he is so sorry after being disqualified for hitting out at a judge. And again, we end today's show with our view from a window, which gives a scenic view from one of our beautiful European cities. But first, the UK headlines. The EU pushes back against British Brexit bill. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen warned Britain on Wednesday that proposed legislation that rolls back terms of the Brexit deal would break international law if passed. She is very concerned about announcements from the British government on its intentions to breach the withdrawal agreement. This would break international law and undermine trust, she said. The former German defense minister also insisted that agreements must be kept and that this was foundations of good relations. Boris Johnson's government shocked Brussels on Monday with its surprise announcement that it would submit a bill that intentionally breaches its EU divorce treaty, though it said only for technical reasons. London maintains the changes would smooth post-Brexit trade within the United Kingdom and help power a recovery from the coronavirus pandemic. The EU Vice President in charge of overseeing implementation of the divorce deal said he had demanded an emergency meeting with Britain to discuss the law. It made it clear that the withdrawal agreement is not open for renegotiation, he told reporters after a call with his UK counterpart Michael Gove, a senior minister. We expect the letter and spirit of the withdrawal agreement to be fully respected, he added. The UK denies going rogue with new law despite the EU's fury. Staying in the UK now, COVID-19 vaccine trial was paused after unexplained illness. Technical trials on one of the most advanced experimental COVID-19 vaccines, which is being developed by pharmaceutical company AstraZeneca and Oxford University, were paused Tuesday after a volunteer developed an unexplained illness. With billions of people around the world still suffering with the fallout of the pandemic and the global death toll nearing 900,000, a worldwide race for a vaccine is underway, with 9 companies already in late-stage Phase 3 trials. Worldwide infections to date now stand at more than 27 million, and more than 890,000 people have died from the disease. A spokesperson for AstraZeneca vaccine said in a statement, "We voluntarily paused vaccinations to allow review of safety data on an independent committee. This is a routine action which has to happen whenever there is potentially unexplained illness in one of the trials, while it is investigated, ensuring we maintain the integrity of the trials." The company said that in large-scale trials, illnesses will sometimes happen by chance, but must be reviewed. They did not offer further details, but David Lowe, a professor of biomedical science at the University of California, Riverside, told the AFP that the pause may not necessarily be a setback. Probably right now, they're just being cautious. It's a pause. It's not the same thing as saying we can't move forward, he said. In some ways, I'm quite relieved. It means they're really paying attention. The volunteer may have experienced an adverse reaction already seen in earlier patients, such as fever and soreness, but in a more severe form. Going to Greece now, where the shelter of thousands has been destroyed by fire in Lesbos. After the fire on Tuesday ravaged Greece's largest camp on Moria on the island of Lesbos, thousands of asylum seekers end up in even more desperate situation. There are more serious injuries, but the fire destroyed most of the camp, according to the migration minister. The fire was started by asylum seekers who were reacting against quarantine measures imposed after 35 people at the camp tested positive for COVID-19. The authorities are now racing to provide shelter and avoid a health crisis. Thousands have fled for safety into surrounding olive groves and are camping at roadsides, many without tents or basic facilities. Some have fled to nearby villages to get water and other necessities. A Syrian woman expressed how they have lost everything. In her own words, she says that they were abandoned without food, water, or medicine. Greek officials have declared a 4-month emergency on the island. They have also sent in extra riot police to protect firefighters from the asylum seekers throwing apparently stones at them. The ministry stated that, I quote, "Tuesday, all necessary actions will be taken to immediately shelter families and vulnerable persons to begin with. A ferry will accommodate hundreds of people, and 2 Greek Navy vessels will provide additional sleeping spaces. 3 flights have been organized to remove 406 unaccompanied minors from the island and rehouse them in northern Greece. The minors had all been tested for COVID-19. Migrants have seen Greece as one of the main gateways into Europe, and due to other European countries' asylum system, thousands remain stuck in the overpopulated Greek camps, usually in poor health conditions. Plans to build temporary camps are encountering local resistance. The Greek president wants the situation to be addressed without delay and responsible dodging and war cries, and states that Europe cannot turn a blind eye. The refugees and migrant issue is primarily a European problem. Over to Switzerland now, where the new Swiss tunnel connects northern and southern Europe through the Alps. This new tunnel is a major project that the Swiss president has called the project of the century, amounting to 3.6 billion Swiss francs, or $3.9 billion US. The tunnel cuts through the Alps in order to facilitate the passage between North and South Europe. The opening ceremony in Switzerland's southern region of Tinico included the playing of instruments by musicians from both the German and Italian-speaking parts of Switzerland to demonstrate the link between the North and the South. 15.4 kilometers long and 323 meters above the sea level, the tunnel will see 170 freight and 180 passengers trains pass through every day. It will cut travel time through the freight corridor running from the North Sea to Rotterdam's Europe's largest seaport to Genoa in Italy's biggest port. The tunnel will see freight trains 750 meters long carry up to 2,100 tons of goods per convoy. The president highlighted the positive impacts on the environment by removing the equivalent of 3,000 trucks off the road, saying it should be possible to reduce carbon dioxide emissions by 900 tons per day. This tunnel is the final stage of the new railway link through the Alps project. It comes after the opening of another base tunnel in 2007 and another tunnel in 2016. The tunnel projects costs of a total of 24 billion Swiss francs, or $26.4 billion US. It's time for a break now. Thank you for listening. We'll come back once again for more E&I UK and Europe edition.
Sabado sa Tagisan ng Galing, Part 2, Singing Edition.
Wow.
Fun, good vibes at entertainment all-in-one upang pasayahin ang weekend nyo. Dito sa Tagisan ng Galing, Part 2, Singing Edition.
For win.
Tagisan ng Galing Part 2 is co-presented by Cooper, an expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate MEPS and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Our sponsors, BDO, we find ways. JRC Industrial Sales, RS Square Variables Incorporated, your trusted UPS supplier and UPS maintenance provider in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. RJK Services Manpower Agency Corporation, Robust Builders, Chris Rapp Enterprises, Victory Carpentry, DOP Asiatic Pest Control Services, and AUB Aspire for the Future. In partnership with New Era University ETF, Expanded Tertiary Education, Equivalency and Accreditation Program. Embrace Cafe, we embrace differently abled persons.
Welcome back to ENI UK and Europe edition. Now for more interesting stories from around the United Kingdom. First up, we go live to a live report by Love Ann Season on the Netflix deal that is getting a lot of attention. Hello, Love Ann.
Hi, Giancarlo, and thank you for having me. So, Harry and Meghan Markle officially launched their new Hollywood careers Wednesday, signing a deal with Netflix to produce an impactful series and films that are for streaming giant. The couple who quit the British royal family and moved to California this year already have multiple projects in development. Although former Suits star Markle has no plans to returning to acting. In a statement to AFP, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex said that through our work with diverse communities and their environments, to shining a light on the people and causes around the world, our focus will be on creating content that informs but also gives hope. As new parents, making inspirational family programming is also important to us as powerful storytelling through a truthful and relatable lens. This is what the couple has added. Now, a nature documentary series and an animated series focused on inspiring women are among the first projects, which the couple said aim to share impactful content that unlocks action. No financial terms were disclosed, but the deal is reported to be multi-year and exclusive to Netflix. Markle and Harry have spoken of their desire to do something of meaning, to do something that matters. In California, where they are launching a wide-ranging non-profit organization named Archwell, their Netflix project is expected to focus on the same issues as Archwell. The deal is a coup for Netflix, which is the world's largest streaming platform with more than 190 million subscribers, but has lost key content as traditional studios launched their own rival platforms. Back to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you for those details, Love Ann. But for the fans of Harry and Meghan all around the world, is there any chance they would likely star in any of these productions?
Well, Giancarlo, the couple are actually unlikely to star in productions, and former Suits star Markle has no plans to return to acting. But they may appear on screen in documentary projects. Like Harry recently appeared in Paralympics documentary film Rising Phoenix, while Markle narrated a wildlife documentary for Disney. Giancarlo?
Thank you so much for your report, Love Ann. Looking forward for more next week.
Thank you, and this is Love Ann, a civilian narcissism reporting for Eagle News, and we live in interesting times.
Okay, we go now to Ashley Espiritu on a report about drawings of Japanese artist Hokusai that were recently acquired by the British Museum. Hello, Ashley.
Hello, Giancarlo. Thank you so much. The British Museum said Thursday it had acquired 103 lost drawings from the 19th century of Japanese artist Hokusai, whose internationally re-owned work includes the iconic The Great Wave. The black and white drawings are composed in 1829 when Hokusai was 70 as illustrations for an unpublished book. They resurfaced in Paris in 2019 after they were last publicly recorded at an auction in 1948. The British Museum, which boasts one of the world's largest Hokusai collections outside Japan, said they were especially significant coming from a period when the artist was thought to be creatively quiet following a series of personal crises. Their subject range from the religious and historical to the mythological, and include previously unknown features of Hokusai's oeuvre, such as a musing on the origins of human culture in ancient China, the London Museum said in a statement. These works are a major new rediscovery, expanding considerably our knowledge of the artist's activities at a key period in his life and work, honorary research fellow Tim Clark said. All 103 pieces are treated with the customary fantasy, invention, and brush skill found in Hokusai's late works, and it is wonderful that they can finally be enjoyed by the many lovers of his artwork worldwide, he said. The drawings are available to view online and will feature in a future free exhibition, the museum said. Globally, Hokusai is best known for his series 36 Views of Mount Fuji, which includes the woodblock print of a giant wave thrusting 3 boats off Japan. Back to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you, Ashley. That's a really interesting story. Can you also tell us more about the unpublished book by Hokusai?
Yes, the unpublished book was called The Great Picture Book of Everything. It was conceived by Hokusai, best known for his most famous work, The Great Wave, but was never completed. The project was abandoned in the 1830s, either because of cost or possibly being Hokusai insisted on reproduction standards that were difficult to attain. The Great Picture Book of Everything was to have been a comprehensive way for the Japanese to have access to images of people, cultures, and nature around the world. At the time when virtually no Japanese people had been allowed out of Japan for some 2 centuries, and virtually no foreigners had been allowed in 99% of the country. In that ultra-restrictive atmosphere, the project was to have given people an opportunity to explore a highly stylized printed version of the outside world as well as Japan itself. Giancarlo?
Thank you, Ashley. And with the recent news of the UK government enforcing more lockdown measures, especially here in London, has the British Museum updated their rules on how to conduct these exhibits now?
Well, the British Museum have the different rules and procedures to follow when visiting, such as, of course, wearing a face mask, keeping the 2-meter distance, following the one-way route throughout the museum. However, with the UK government implementing the max of 6 per group when going out, the British Museum have not yet given any specific updates on the rules. But as is everyone with most places, the public will need to wait and see what the changes the museum and other services will do based on these new government guidelines. And I believe these new guidelines will be on full force coming Monday. Back to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you so much, Ashley, for that report.
I'm Ashley Spiritu, correspondent from London, United Kingdom, and we live in interesting times.
Okay, it's time for another break now, but please come back for more E&I UK and Europe edition.
Do you want to earn a degree while you work? New Era University now offers Expanded Tertiary Education Equivalency and Accreditation Program, or ETIAP. ETIAP is an educational scheme that recognizes knowledge, skills, and prior learning obtained by individuals from non-formal and informal education experiences. It is implemented through deputized higher educational institutions like the New Era University that awards the appropriate degrees. Programs offered are the following: Master's Program, Masters of Arts in Education, major in Educational Management, Master's Program in Business Administration, Bachelor of Arts in Science, major in Political Science, Bachelor of Arts in Science, major in Mass Communication, Bachelor of Science in Education, major in Filipino, major in English, Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with majors in Human Resources Development, Marketing Management, and Financial Management. Beneficiaries must be Filipinos who have attained at least high school level of education. The program is flexible and you don't need to attend regular classes. Expanded Tertiary Education Equivalency and Accreditation Program, or ETIAP, is under the supervision of Dr. Nilo L. Rosas, the University President, and Professor Anita P. Santos, Director of ETIAP. For more information, contact the following: Cristina Moreno, 0995-138-0786, or email cvmoreno@neu.edu.ph, or Arlene Sarmiento, 0906-298-9150, or email cedctl@neu.edu.ph. What are you waiting for? Let New Era University be your partner in achieving your dreams.
Welcome back to ENI UKN Europe Edition. Now we have more interesting stories from around Europe. Firstly, from France, joining us live is Aliyah Garcia on the trial following the 2015 attack on Charlie Hebdo in Paris. Aliyah, welcome.
Hi, Giancarlo. On the 2nd of September, France began reopening one of the most painful chapters in the country's history. Under heavy security, the court focused on the 14 suspected accomplices who are on trial in connection with the Charlie Hebdo attack and with a related attack on a Jewish supermarket that killed 17 people. The former head of the Paris Police Anti-Terror Unit, Christian Do, walked the court through the events. It was 11:33 a.m. on Wednesday, January 7, 2015, when the Kouachi brothers, Sherif and Said, entered Charlie Hebdo premises in Paris. In total, 12 people, including some of France's most celebrated cartoonists, were gunned down at the scene and 33 bullet cartridges were found at the crime scene, 21 from Sherif Kouachi's weapon alone. More than 5 years after the massacre at the satirical paper, the CCTV images and the police pictures taken during and right after the attack stirred strong emotions in the courtroom. The court's presiding judge, Regis Dejourna, warned the audience and said the following: "Some people may find these scenes disturbing." Once the viewing started, some attack survivors left the room in tears. In the box of the accused, some watched while others looked away. Everybody else took in the images of the extreme violence of the attack in shock and icy silence. The trajectory of the bullets found in the bodies of most of the murdered cartoonists were consistent with execution-style killing from behind. Closed-circuit video recordings showed the killers seemingly calm and determined during the attack, and also during their getaway when they casually killed a police officer, Ahmed Merabe, who was already on the ground. In a rare move in France, the trial for the 2015 attacks on the Charlie Hebdo satirical newspaper, a kosher supermarket, and a policewoman who is to be filmed in its entirety for the National Archives. It's the first for a terrorism trial. Footages will remain inaccessible to the public for 50 years. Back to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you, Aliyah. I know this trial has been much awaited there in France. Could you tell us until when will this hearing last?
The trial is expected to continue until November 10, with the opening session likely to be an opportunity to pay tribute to the people who lost their lives in the terrorist attacks.
Okay, thank you, Aliyah. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm Aliyah Garcia from EBC Paris, France. We live in interesting times.
Okay, now staying in France, we will go to Marseille to learn how to cook the popular French dish called Ratatouille. This report is by Febeline Calpo. Let's watch her report.
everyone. Hope you're having a great day today. Maybe some of you are thinking about what to eat right now. Well, if you are into healthy meals, then you're watching the right video, since we're going to make a delicious and healthy meal. Today, let's make a classic or traditional French dish, full of vegetables like eggplants and tomatoes. But there's more. Prepare yourselves because we're going to be making Ratatouille. You might be thinking, isn't that a movie we read? Well, it's not. Ratatouille is a French stewed vegetable dish that originated from the beautiful city of Nice.
You'll need these ingredients for your dish: 3 zucchinis, eggplant, green, yellow, and red bell pepper, 4 tomatoes, 2 medium-sized onions, 2 cloves of garlic, olive oil, kosher salt, herbs of choice like basil or oregano. Okay, now that you've taken note of what you need, let's get it on with the process. First thing first, wash your vegetables thoroughly before cutting. We wouldn't want any bacteria or dirt in our system now, do we? Cut all the vegetables into large slices. When you slice the tomatoes, squeeze the juice into a large bowl. Strain out the seeds and save the juice for later. With the eggplant, you can choose to peel its skin since it can be a bit tough. The choice is up to you. We will then cook the eggplant and zucchinis separately, like this, and then set aside. Next, we will be cooking the onions and garlic. In a heavy-bottomed skillet, add 2 tablespoons of olive oil or more and heat it up. Saute the onions for 5 minutes until they begin to turn slightly translucent. Add the garlic next and continue to saute for another minute or 2. But make sure to not burn the garlic. Then, add the vegetables into the pan. After stirring, add the tomato juice from before. You can use vegetable stock. You only need a few tablespoons of about 1/4 cup of liquid. Stir to combine, and if the mixture is dry, add a bit more. Simmer for 10 to 15 minutes. Lastly, a bit of seasoning won't hurt, so fresh or dried oregano, basil or thyme is a good addition to the dish. Don't forget to season with kosher salt. This will bring out the natural flavors of the ingredients. Cook for another minute, then remove from the heat. And there you have it. Lamb, beef, or poultry is a great accompaniment with ratatouille. But it can also be delicious on its own over rice or couscous.
And there you go! Enjoy your ratatouille! From Marseille, France, I am Pebelen Calpo, reporting for Eagle News International. We live in interesting times.
We go to EBC Sports now, and joining us live is Vanessa Gauhert, who joins us from Hamburg, Germany, and is doing our sports update. Hi Vanessa, what's new in the world of European football?
Thank you, Giancarlo. I'm Vanessa Gauhert, and here's a sports update about the famous soccer player Robert Lewandowski. After a great soccer season, soccer player Robert Lewandowski has been voted a Soccer Player of the Year 2020. Unlike the award of Soccer Player of the Year, which he has already won 8 times in Poland, he received the award for Germany's Soccer Player of the Year for the very first time. Robert Lewandowski received 276 out of 526 votes in the Picker poll among the members of the Association of German Sports Journalists. Thus, he was clearly ahead of his colleague Thomas Müller, who received 54 votes, and Joshua Kimmich, who received 49 votes. It is just one of many more achievements and titles that Robert Lewandowski received in this current season. In an interview with sports publication Kicker, Lewandowski said that he is very proud of it. He also mentions that as the expectations for him are getting higher and higher, he is trying to exceed them every year. In the interview, he also says that he worked so hard on his performance and also on the performance of his entire team, which then played brilliantly, nationally as well as internationally. Also, last year's winner, Marco Reus, congratulates his former teammate by saying that Lewandowski was the strongest spiker in this past season. He can only tip his hat to him for that performance and simply has to congratulate him personally for the success. I currently don't see a player who deserves to be named a World Soccer Player, said his coach Hansi Flick in an interview with the magazine. Although being 5 years past the professional footballer's perceived peak, Lewandowski is confident that he can retain his performance until his late 30s. I don't feel like I'm 32. I feel better than I did at 26, not just physically, but also in terms of my footballing and technical ability. I've been working very hard over the past few years to reach my optimum level. I'm very happy that I can have managed to do this and I can play football at the highest for even longer, Lewandowski said. Back to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you so much, Vanessa, once again for that sports update. And thank you, EBC Germany.
I'm Vanessa Goward for Eagle News International. We live in interesting times.
Okay, staying with our EBC sports news, we go to the US Open, where Serbia's world number one, Novak Djokovic, was dramatically disqualified from the US Open on Sunday after he accidentally struck a female line judge with the ball in frustration during his last 16 match, sending shockwaves through the tournament. The world number one apologized for hitting the ball in disgust after he lost his service game to go 6-5 down in the first set to Spain's 20th seed, Pablo Carreno Busta, inside the Archer Ashe Stadium in New York. Djokovic appeared to be looking the other way when he pulled the ball out of his pocket and he smashed it directly at the official. It hit her full toss in the throat. The official cried out and began gasping for air as she collapsed to the ground. Djokovic rushed over to check on her, placing his hand on her back as she struggled to breathe. After a few minutes, she got up and walked off the court looking dazed. Around 10 minutes of discussion then ensued between Djokovic and the tournament referee, during which the world number one pleaded his case. The umpire then declared that Carreno Busta had won by default. Djokovic shook hands with his opponent before leaving the court without appearing to shake the hand of the umpire. He went then directly to his car and left Flushing Meadows site in New York without speaking to any of the reporters. Djokovic, 33 years old, later posted an apology on his Instagram saying he was so sorry. This whole situation has left me feeling really sad and empty, he wrote, adding that thank God that the woman was okay. I'm extremely sorry to have caused her such distress. So unintended, so wrong, said Djokovic. He also apologized to tournament organizers for my behavior, but did not say whether he thought they were right to disqualify him. The United States Tennis Association said that Djokovic had been defaulted under the Grand Slam rules for intentionally hitting the ball dangerously or recklessly within the court or hitting a ball with negligent regard for the consequences. The body added that he would lose all his ranking points and prize money from that tournament. Okay, now we end today's show once again with our view from a window. And this time we're going to Florence in Italy. The square that we are seeing is named after the famous Florentine artist Michelangelo. It offers an extraordinary view over the Renaissance city of Florence, built by the architect Giuseppe Poggi in 1869. It can be reached either by local buses or on foot with an uphill climb, since it is located near the city center. From that point, you can see the oldest and most famous bridge, Ponte Vecchio, which crosses the Arno River, and right in the middle you can see the famous Cupolo di Duomo. In the middle, this today is a must-see spot for visitors because of its finest view of the Tuscan city, especially during sunset, when the buildings and bridges are illuminated at night. This video is courtesy being brought to us by Jodine Catalan from our EBC Bureau in Italy. We thank you for this wonderful view. We hope you stay safe and keep positive. And that's it for this week's show. We will be bringing you more news stories next week from the United Kingdom and Europe. I'm Giancarlo Matera, and we live in interesting times.